Dear racing fans, we've been waiting for you. We've been working, prepping, training, putting together thrilling races, high stakes, favorite traditions, and fresh experiences. From right on the rail to the top of the hill. Whether it's your first meet or your 50th, we can't wait to welcome you back this fall. Love, Keeneland.
And a very pleasant good evening, everyone. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast. Jeremy Plonk here from Horse Player Now. It is Wednesday night. We're getting set for the Thursday card, October 9th. It'll be day 5 of 17 of the fall meet here at Keeneland. If you caught the action today at Keeneland, nobody took down the pick 6. So we're going to start things off with a pick 6 carryover on this program. Pick 6, of course, a $1 wager, traditional, no jackpot provisions in the Keeneland pick 6. Pick 6 carryover of $26,647. It'll be the final 6 races on this 10-race card. We'll look at the entire lineup and how the card shakes out for you with the snapshot in just a moment. But again, races 5 through 10 will have that $26,000 carryover in the pick 6. Today, they had a Toyota Super High 5 carryover of more than $50,000 going into the final race on the card. Long shot won, 35-1 shot ran third, and lo and behold, the Toyota Super High 5 today paid $181,000 for the one ticket that took it down in the 8th and final today. If that was you, congrats, drinks on you, and we're heading out for steaks after that one for sure. 2-win day for me in the handicapping column. Not bad, but again, nothing great here. I'm not getting the big key plays in that we need here at the meet. Favorites won only just 2 of 8 on the card today. 4 second place finishes for the favorites. We talked about it with the rain that came during the dark days. We said the main track would tighten up, and it certainly did. In the 6 races on the main track today, 4 of them were won wire to wire. We didn't see that opening 3 days of the racing meet. So definitely more presence with speed today. That natural water in the surface keeps it from being so loose and cuppy like it was when it was dry opening weekend. And that tightens things up. Horses get less fatigued over a tight racetrack. They run faster on the front end. They don't get as tired. They have that advantage turning for home, and oftentimes they don't get beat. That's what we saw in several races today. Again, 4 wire-to-wire winners in 6 main track dirt races today. Luis Saez had 3 wins on the program. Irad Ortiz had a couple. Mike Maker, who took the Ziggy, he was over opening weekend at Keeneland. He had 2 wins, so he turned the corner. Some of those other barns, McPeak, Cassie, they've got some horses I really like on this program coming up on Thursday. I'm a little worried about the way those barns have performed over the first 4 days of racing. But again, the sample size isn't that big yet, but you've only got 17 days at Keeneland. You got to turn it on here at some point in time. What do we have today coming up for the program on Thursday? Weather forecast for you. 60-degree temps, low 60s, sunny skies. So fast, and it should be firm on the turf course, I would imagine, for Thursday. At worst, a good turf course. But I would assume we're going to be fast and firm. Temps again in the low 60s. The Keeneland Turf Pick 3 returns. There was no Turf Pick 3 on Wednesday, given the fact that there were only 2 grass races. But we've got it on races 4, 6, and 8 on this 10-race program. The nightcap's not a turf race, which is kind of weird. We usually finish with the grass race. So 4, 6, and 8 will be the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 races coming up here on the Thursday program. That's a good time to segue into that snapshot on the card. As we'll see here, the Turf Pick 3 races, as mentioned, races 4, 6, and 8. Early Pick 5 is going to kick things off in races 1 through 5. As always, the early Pick 4 will be races 2 through 5. Key plays for me on the card in the orange, 4, 9, and 10. So we got something to stick around at the end for, hopefully, on this program. 4, 9, 10 will be my key plays. That $26,000 pick 6 carryover, $1 minimum, begins in race number 5. Late pick 5 is going to begin in the 6th. The late pick 4 kicks off in the 7th. And again, we've got the Toyota Super High 5 starting back fresh. Somebody hit it today for $181,000. We start back fresh in the Toyota Super High 5 in the 10th and final race on the card. I don't think there's a lot of super standout favorites on this particular program. I mean, I don't see there's no obvious 2 to 5 shot anywhere in the program. And how many favorites are going to be even money, sub even money? Not many. I mean, I think this is going to be a really competitive race card. Doesn't mean favorites can't be successful, but I think they're going to be, if they are successful, they're going to be in that 7 to 5, 8 to 5, 5 to 2 range, and not so many heavy odds on type favorites. But the publics, the cause, people get in and dive in on horses and they go lower than you would suspect. There were a couple horses running today that I thought, okay, this horse looks like the favorite, but not even money favorite. We'll see how the betting goes, but I don't see a lot of horses on this particular program, to me, that show any value anywhere around even money. I think this is a pretty competitive card where finding the key plays on the program, frankly, was tough because there's a lot of races where you could turn and twist in a lot of different angles. So that's good handicapping. Let's get after it. Starting things off, race number 1, the handicapper selectors box. You can get this at Keeneland.com. Go down and check out the easy print function there, or you can just check it out online at Keeneland.com. Go into the handicappers consensus. Tom Leach, Scott Hazelton, Kim Nelson, and myself, our picks published there, free each and every racing day of the meet. All right, Keeneland race number 1, non-winners of 2 lifetime. We're going to start things off here with number 5, Just Like Max, being my choice, 4-1 in the morning line. This horse kind of got left in the dust early at Churchill, then rallied to win easily in the career debut. That was for a maiden 30, claimed away from Brad Cox. Now goes to Gennaro Garcia, good trainer at Horseshoe Indian. He wins some races in Kentucky as well. Garcia's got this horse first off the claim. Not a barn that does tremendous stats off the claim. You're just kind of hoping that maybe you hold that form from the debut from the Brad Cox barn, because that was a pretty good looking effort. In there for Just Like Max. The Churchill shippers do very well in these non-winners of 2 lifetime. We've had 112 of these claiming races in fall meets in the past. 40 of the winners have come to Churchill. No other circuit produced more than 12. So really the Churchill horses have been excellent in these spots. Cousin Roscoe, the 3, Smoles, the 4. Neither one of those look like much on paper. So the Churchill horse who's actually got some decent form in here, Just Like Max, the 5, going to be my top choice in this particular spot. Just Like Max, also top pick in here for Kim. And then we've got the 7 and 9 also getting some love on top here from Tom and from Scott. So fairly competitive race, 4 handicappers, 3 different choices picked on top. The one after party is the 5-2 morning line favorite, Tyler Gaffalione riding for David Jacobson. This combination hits 32% together. This one comes down from Gulfstream on a trainer change. So again, this horse could be competitive. We don't see a lot of maiden claimers from Gulfstream come up here and be particularly strong, but David Jacobson moves horses up. We know that. This one comes off Jack Sisterson. He's a horse that Jacobson now owns and trains, so a private purchase. He gets top jock Tyler Gaffalione to ride. I can see the one after party being effective in this spot, but again, as a 5-2 morning line favorite, I just don't see any way that any horse in this race is going to be worth being bet down, something to 5. I don't think you want anybody in here at 6-5, 7-5, 8-5 in that kind of range. Demand a little value here in race number 1 and get things started with, probably a couple horses that you want to kind of take a look at. I would go 3 deep in here, looking at the multi-race wagers. Maybe throw in Tom's top pick if you wanted and get to 4 deep if you have some stronger opinions in other races. But for me, 5-9-1, the way we're going to take race number 1. To the second we go. Maiden claimers go 6.5 furlongs in this one. We've had 89 fall meet maiden claiming sprints for the older horses like this, and first-time starters just are not effective in these particular spots whatsoever. So Super Mist and Keeneland and a couple of those 2 are the first-timers, along with Just Call Rip. You got 3 first-timers in this field of 9, and they just statistically do not show up in these kind of races. Winning favorites at 40% in these maiden claiming elder sprint races like this. So certainly keep an eye on, a rather formful particular potential here in race number 2. I've got the 4 Alias in here at 9-2. It's Will Walden. His horse is running well, of course, all year long at 25%. The Into Mischief sire line, obviously, always strong here at Keeneland. Alias, well-bred runner here with Tyler Gaffalione riding. Now, this horse did start the career in New York with Rick Dutrow, ended up in Maryland with Brittany Russell. Hasn't been seen, but the works all summer are strong. Working in Kentucky, bullet after bullet after bullet. Will Walden, the trainer, gets bet. I'll be surprised if Alias is 9-2 in here. I think this horse will get bet down and could be. I know the speed figures aren't there, and that's what Nick Tamero's looking at a lot in his morning lines. The speed figures for the 7 Don't Ghost Me are far superior in the 70s, but I think this horse is going to get bet, the 4 Alias. The 7 Don't Ghost Me is the morning line favorite, and obviously the other main contender in this race. This horse has had 4 career starts, has either been flat or lost ground in the stretch in 3 of those, so Don't Ghost Me's got to figure a way to finish here at 6.5. Wasn't able to finish the deal at Colonial or Delaware Park. Those were maiden specials, now does drop into maiden claiming, and that's usually a pretty good angle. But you got a horse from Laurel and Alias. You got a horse from Delaware in Don't Ghost Me. 2 of the favorites from circuits we're not really used to seeing a lot of success here at Keeneland in the fall. The only Churchill shipper in this race is kind of, a misnomer because number 5 Fracture ran at Churchill last time out, but that was at Churchill in May of 2024 off a year and a half. So really not a lot in terms of like where they're coming from, where you can kind of hug and embrace anybody in this particular race and say they're going to have a major class edge. Maybe the 9 Coffee Talk has been primarily Kentucky Fairgrounds, is running against some decent competition, but it was already in for 30 last time when claimed at Ellis Park off a turf race. David Jacobson, maybe he's got the double here. Jacobson's got one in the opener that we talked about, After Party, first time in his barn. He's got another first time in his barn here with Jose Ortiz. One thing about David Jacobson's horses when they've run at Keeneland, it seems like, and statistically it bears it out, there's just not a huge sample size of it. When he's got one really live, Irad Ortiz has been the jockey who's been riding for him. So the fact that you got Jose riding here on Coffee Talk and the horse for Jacobson in the opener is Gaffleone, I mean, those are excellent riders, right? I mean, you get Jose Ortiz or Tyler Gaffleone, you're happy about it. But it seems like when it's go time for David Jacobson, Irad Ortiz is in the saddle. So we'll see how that shakes out. Race number 2, though, I've got the 4 in here, Alias. I wouldn't go any deeper than 2 deep in this particular spot, I think. 4-7. The 9 Coffee Talk, I mean, I'll let that one beat me if it happens to do so. But I think 4 and 7 get you through here in race number 2. Chalky expected finish and outcome. Those are the 3 favorites. But again, this is a percentage race where 40% of the favorites win these Elder Maiden claiming sprints during fall meets. So this is where you're supposed to accept shorter prices in races where they frequently come in at shorter prices. Then in races where we can fish, we want to try to go after them. Let's go to race number 3 next up. No new wagers starting here in the 3rd race. We'll set you up with the conditions. Starter allowance company here. 6 furlong sprint. These are for horses that have started for a claiming price of $12,500 or less during the calendar years 2024 and 2025. So when you have starter allowance races like this, they have that maximum level where they could have run, and you're trying to find a horse who looks least like that. So this is for horses who have run in a 12,500 claimer at least once. You hope they only ran in it once. You don't want to have a horse who's like an 8,000 claimer, 10,000 claimer, and then taking on a bunch of class droppers who once in their life ran for 12.5 and now are eligible to run back at a condition like this. So go down through the past performances, see how many times these horses ran for 12,500 claiming or less, kind of make some circles and marks, and try to figure out which horse looks least like a 12.5 claimer. And that's often how you can handicap a starter allowance race. That's not just for Keeneland. That's any race. We try to help you with your handicapping in any conditions at any track. So if you pick up the past performances for a track tomorrow, say you're playing Penn National or someplace, if you find a starter allowance condition, you try to find the horse that looks least like the eligibility max to draw into the race. Sometimes they can have a class edge. So number 4, Jubilant Joni is one in here who's only dropped into that 12.5 level or below twice that we can see in the past performances. And both times that Jubilant Joni dropped in class, she won by 5 and she won by 5.5. So she dominates when she gets down to the level of horses who are 12.5 claimerish. That's why I picked her on top in here. She's 5-2 in the morning line. We talked about Irad Ortiz. This is the rider for me in this particular spot, race number 3. I'm on the 4, Jubilant Joni. Now, a couple picks on top in here for Motown Dynamic, the 7-5 morning line favorite, coming off 4 straight wins at Prairie Meadows and 7 wins on the year for Motown Dynamic. Motown Dynamic could become an 8-time winner. I believe I looked on Equibase, and if nobody else won today, when I did the stat a couple days ago, only 3 horses in the country have won 8 or more races this year. There were 2 had won 8, and someone else had won 9 or 10 already on the year. So Motown Dynamic is really a win machine when you look at 2025. One thing about Prairie Meadows, I'll tell you this, as a guy who used to work in the Midwest and at the smaller tracks and follow those circuits, Prairie Meadows is one of the most speed-favoring racetracks you're going to find anywhere in America. Speed is deadly at Prairie Meadows. So Motown Dynamic to go wire to wire in 3 straight, that's kind of par for the course out there, especially when you're a good horse who's 1-5 or 1-10 odds, 1-20 odds. This horse has just been absolutely smashed at the windows in those last couple. Superior horse to the competition and speed at Prairie Meadows. I mean, it just wasn't going to give back those kind of advantages. This will be a much tougher spot for Motown Dynamic. First time over the track here at Keeneland by Motown. Really not a lot to go by there in terms of, a sire that gets a lot of great success here at Keeneland. So we're just going to have to see. Does Motown Dynamic handle the competition, handle the footing here at Keeneland for the first time. And it's 7-5 in the morning line. I don't see going that direction when you have a horse that I like in Jubilant Joni. So 5-2 on Jubilant Joni. I'm contemplating making this one of my key plays of the day. I like to get a little bit higher price on a key play like that. But if you're looking in the early pick 4, the early pick 5, and we go back to the snapshot and see, in the early pick 5, the early pick 4, if you're playing in those multi-race wagers, this is a good spot to single, because a lot of people are going to take Motown Dynamic in this spot. If you beat the favorite, that's puts you in really good footing in terms of your potential payout. And if you don't go too deep and you single in here, that gives you either half the price of the ticket, because going from a single to 2 deep doubles the cost of the ticket, or it allows you to play the same ticket twice for the same amount of money, and then when you hit it, you'll hit it twice. So I really like the idea in this race of attacking by taking Jubilant Joni on top and trying to beat Motown Dynamic in this particular spot. And there's not a lot of great value to make intra-race when the horse is 5-2, and maybe we'll go even a little bit lower under IRAD. But if Jubilant Joni here for Rick Dutrow is the winner in this particular spot, already a winner over the racetrack, then I think we can knock Motown Dynamic out of that pick 4 and pick 5. Can be very helpful to us. So I'm not going to play this race intra-race with the exacta, try, super, that sort of thing. I'm just going to try to get by with the 4 in the multi-race bets, and that's going to allow me to have either a cheaper ticket or a ticket that I can punch more times when we're looking at the pick 4 and the pick 5 in the early going. Let's go next up to race number 4 on the program on this 10-race card. Mile and an eighth on the main track for Maiden Specials. So a little bit different dynamic to this. We're going longer for the Turf Maiden Specials in here. We've only had 13 races in the fall meets at 9 furlongs or longer in these Elder Maiden Special Weight races. Horses coming from off the pace have had some success in these races. Favorites are 6 for 13, so they do hit at a pretty solid number. None of the closers close for more than 5.5 lengths back, so you kind of want to be in that 2 to 5 length back range. A horse who can kind of work out a first over trip can be very effective in here, and that's what I'm looking for as one of my key plays on the card. Race number 4, the 8, Caviar Breakfast. Because when I draw up this race on paper, the 1 Perfect Union from the rail has speed. The 3, Oriah from the 3 hole, probably wants to go out there. And I don't respect either one of those horses on the front end. I don't think either one of them is an effective horse to take this field wire to wire at this class level. So Caviar Breakfast, the 8, could get an absolute dream trip. This horse could be sitting 3rd or 4th behind 2 non-respected horses and be able to pounce. Last time out, got no help on the pace end. 48-2 at Churchill for the opening half. 113 for 6 furlongs. They were walking. Caviar Breakfast was 5th in that race. Still closed and ran a good 3rd, beating a length and a half. I think a little bit closer on an aggressive ride from Irad Ortiz, sitting 3rd in here. And by Mendelssohn, the sire Mendelssohn had 3 winners on the turf here in the spring meet. So Caviar Breakfast for me, my first key play on the card. And as I look across the way, nobody else has Caviar Breakfast even in their top 3. 6-1 in the morning line. I know Kenny McPeak's in a bit of a slump here, obviously, to start the fall meet. But this is one where I think he might be able to right the ship. Perfect trip. Rider change to Irad. Love this one here. Caviar Breakfast, 8 over the 7-12 for me in this particular spot. The 12, El Zane, comes out of the same race with Caviar Breakfast from last time. El Zane, the 12, what a pedigree here. By Medaglia d'Oro out of Center Court. You remember Center Court, major stakes winner all throughout Kentucky. She was fantastic. Graded stakes winner here over the turf at Keeneland. $700,000 filly here, El Zane. She hasn't lived up to that pedigree to this point, but her last was a lot more like it, and I think she can be effective in this spot. So give me the 8 over the 7-12, and we'll attack this one. Miss Farrell, my second choice, the 7-20-1 in the morning line. I like the race here at Keeneland last year in the spring, in April, from a tough post position, a little bit better draw this time. Frankie Dettori's ridden her a couple times now and gets back aboard this daughter of American Pharaoh. I think Miss Farrell, 20-1 in the morning line. Tom Leach's top pick. You can see this is starting to look pretty exciting in here. You got a 6-1 on top that nobody else likes, 20-1 in the second spot, 12-1 in the third spot. This is exactly why race number 4 for me is one of my key plays of the day. And honestly, one of the better bets of the meet for me so far because of the amount of prices that we have in here, the number of prices, that can really develop not only a potential win bet, but the exactas, the tries, the supers in a full field like this, we can really do some damage in this particular spot if we're right. The 10 weighted advantage is an 8-5 morning line favorite who just simply has been getting beat. And if she doesn't win this race, she got beat at 7-5, she got beat at 6-5, she got beat at 5-2. She's run second or third in all but one career start, 5 of 6. It's Chad Brown, it's Tyler Gaffleone. They're going to get bet again, but she couldn't get it done at Ellis, at Churchill, at Aqueduct, at Gulfstream, Kentucky Downs, 5 different tracks. This is now a 6 different track. Maybe she'll like Keeneland more, but I can't take a short price. And when I have horses I like and I want to beat the favorite in here, I feel really good about it. So if we can get those price horses 8, 7, and 12 in the mix, use the 10 in the second and third slots for your exotics. So something like a try would be like, 8, 7, 12 over 8, 7, 12, 10 over 8, 7, 12, 10. So you're only using the 10 in the second and third slots. You're trying to beat the favorite in here at 8-5, and you do it with the 3 price horses that we like in here. And if you want to play more in combinations, then you play more with Caviar Breakfast, the top pick on top, as the one that we like more. But we want to weight this one properly. This is a good play, I think, in race number 4. We'll get after it with, with some zeal, if you will, in Thursday's 4th race. To the 5th we go at Keeneland, maiden claimers, going to mile and 16th here on the main track, 30,000 level. These are 2-year-old maiden claimers. So we've had 36 of these 2-year-old maiden claimers as race number 5 starts that carryover pick 6. We've had 36 of these races in the past in fall meets for 2-year-old maiden claimers going long on the dirt. Favorites are 18 for 36. 26 of the 36 winners dropped from maiden special weight races. So horses on the class drop from maiden special have been very effective in these particular spots. That's something you want to keep an eye on. There are several horses in here in that kind of mix. You've got the likes of My Secret Dreams dropping out of the maiden specials, Ranting and Raving. I Mean Business, a long shot out of the maiden specials. Lady Faye comes out of the maiden specials. First-time starters haven't had a lot of success in these races. 5 of the races have been won by first-time starters of the 36. So 2-year-old maiden claimers going long, try to get some experience in here. And again, a class edge to those dropping out of the maiden specials has been pretty effective. I will say that I don't always bet the trend straight up. I think the 9 in here, Beach of Dreams, is one coming out of the maiden claiming ranks. It was a 75,000 maiden claimer at Saratoga. I think that's going to stack up. It's not a maiden special, but when you look at maybe a horse who's running maiden special at Horseshoe Indianapolis versus a horse doing a 75,000 maiden claimer at Saratoga, you can make a really strong argument that that race is stronger than the race at Colonial, the race at Indiana Downs for these horses who are coming out of some of the maiden specials. So I think the 9 Beach of Dreams is going to fit really well against this particular group. And by Omaha Beach, the sire who's got 26% wins on the main track here at Keeneland over the last 4 years. So number 9 Beach of Dreams is going to be my pick here as we start this carryover pick 6. Look at the other handicappers across the way. Scott also has Beach of Dreams, as does Kim Nelson. 5-2 in the morning line. Like we said, favorites at 50%. So do you want to kind of, go up against a trend where, like the favorites are extremely strong in these kind of races? Kenny McPeak has won more maiden claiming routes than most all other trainers. And when you look in the 2-year-old ranks, Kenny McPeak has lost 17 2-year-old maiden claimers going long at Keeneland, 17 starters, 4 wins, 5 seconds, 2/3. Exceptional numbers in maiden claiming 2-year-old routes like this. Kenny McPeak's got the 9 Beach of Dreams and the 8 Lady Faye. I think both of them would have to be in the mix. The 4 Tia Lupe is a first time or a long shot to look at it, and I kept in here. This horse was bet a little bit live at a 9-horse field for connections that don't necessarily get bet at Hawthorne. 11-1 in the career debut, didn't break, but has had a bullet workout since. Maxfield, a first crop sire who's done some pretty good things with his young 2-year-old so far. I think Tia Lupe might be one to keep an eye on in here if you're looking for a price to mix in underneath. So I took the 2 McPeaks, 9 and 8, and split them up with that long shot in between. But you see the 9 and the 8 top picks in here. We're all thinking this is where Kenny McPeak gets off the duck maybe for the meet. He's got 2 really good shots to fire in race number 5. That's going to start the pick 6, like I said. Do you single Beach of Dreams in here to start the pick 6? I don't know if I'm that confident that I want to go all in on a single. Tia Lupe could really get you started at a big number. I think the 8's useful in here. The 2 drops out of a maiden or comes out of a maiden 30. I don't know. I mean, 3 deep maybe in this race. Maybe you take the 2 McPeaks, or maybe you just cut bait and go 1 deep in this particular spot. I mean, if you look at the handicappers here, we're all saying 999 with an 8 mixed in there. So it's probably a 2 deep situation, 9 and 8, but the 9 might be just the best one of all, Beach of Dreams. And maybe you get your pick 6 ticket started with a single. And again, in a situation where favorites win 50% in these maiden claiming 2-year-old route races, it's probably not a bad spot to look for a single. But again, do I look at that horse on form and say, 4 to 5, 3 to 5? Yeah. I just don't see those kind of favorites so far as we've gone through the program. To the 6th race we go next, and the 6th race will start the late pick 5, and it's also part of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. These are sprinters and a turf sprint allowance company in this particular spot, a field of 8. I talk a lot about the post 3, 4, 5 in the big fields. Don't get overwhelmed with post position, though, in an 8-horse field in a turf sprint. In fact, 8-horse fields in turf sprints really give a lot of real estate to move. And oftentimes the best horses are going to win these races because they're still going at a breakneck speed, even if it's a smaller field size, because it's 5.5 on the turf. They're going to go. So you don't have to worry about jockey strategies or anybody trying to, slow things down and walk the dog on the front end and then back in the field up on top of everybody. With only 8 in here and a good, honest, hard pace, these fields typically string out a bit going into the turn. They're 2, 3 wide, and then the best horse wins because they're not getting in traffic. They're not susceptible to horses stopping in front of them, having to go super duper wide to come win around a 11-horse, 12-horse field in a turf sprint. I think you can kind of trust these races a little bit more. Bill Mott and Riley Mott, I think, have the exact in this particular race. Is it going to be father? Or is it going to be son? The father's got the favorite in Operation Sunrise on the outside, coming out of back-to-back wins, 1 at Ellis, 1 at Kentucky Downs, 2-1 on the morning line. Operational Sunrise certainly would be no surprise. Top pick in here for Kim, top pick for Scott as well. But Riley's got one in here, Cheval de Guerre, that I think has a shot. This horse won at Ellis Park last time. The race at Colonial Downs went second to Montador's. Looked good. Montador came back, won at Kentucky Downs, came back and ran earlier this meet and ran well. That's a pretty darn good company line. And I think Cheval de Guerre's got a chance in here. Look, this is a horse who went to Royal Ascot and ran in the Windsor Castle after the career debut. I think Cheval de Guerre's got some class about her and or about him. And I think this is a horse who might be able to pull the upset in here. I've got the 4 over the 8, the 2 Motts in here, or the way I'm going to try to get through this one. Number 6, Can't Deny It. Respect for trainer Larry Ravelli in turf sprints. He won it, the Breeders' Cup turf sprint, of course, a couple years ago with No Balls. He's had some good turf sprinters over the years, bringing this one out of Chicago to run for some big money, $140,000 purse here. Can't Deny It, laid off since March. Don't worry about layoffs when it comes to turf sprints like this. You don't have to be super duper fit. You just got to be super sharp. And Larry Ravelli can get one sharp off a long layoff. So won't be surprised here if number 6, Can't Deny It, comes out running. Definitely 3 good options to me, the 4, the 8, and the 6. And if you look at the other handicappers, there's a lot of 8s and 6s in there. And I'm the one who's got the 4 kind of mixed in along with Kim. So 3 deep perhaps for the multi-race wagers in this particular spot. I don't think you need to go super deep in here. Brian Lynch does have the 1 litigation coming off 3 straight wins. No real knock there, but this horse has got 2 wins on the turf at Ellis Park. Very firm turf course. We did get a little bit of rain, so the turf's not quite as firm as it was earlier in the meet last week. We'll see if litigation handles it here as well as he did at Ellis over the summer. But I think you can get through in here with the 4, the 6, and the 8. And I'm taking the 4, Cheval de Guerre, on top as my play in this particular spot. We go to race number 7, and the late pick 4 gets underway in this one. 7th race on the card is one where you're going to have a horse in measure who's going to get a little bit of play in here, I would assume. Race number 7 is a maiden special at 1 mile and a 16th on the main track. These are 2-year-olds, and we talked about the 2-year-olds going long on the turf. Now we got 2-year-olds going long on the dirt in here. We've had a much bigger sample of these kind of races, 58 of them, 54 of them, in fact, in fall meets in the past, these 2-year-old route maiden specials. Favorites are 25 for 54, so a strong percentage there, a little less than 50%. Average winners 9-2 odds, right where you want to see it. Churchill Downs preppers have 28 of the wins in these particular spots. First-time starters have only had 3 wins of the 54. So Churchill's produced more than half of the 54 winners. First-time starters are pretty much horses you want to wait till next time to be backing those horses in these particular races. So we go to the 7th race on the card, and I've got number 9, Measure, on top. This one comes out of a race at Churchill Downs for trainer Mark Casse. Missed the break at 6 furlongs last time by Essential Quality, who won the Breeders' Futurity at this same distance over this same track at a mile and a 16th at Keeneland back in his 2-year-old championship season. The sire gets decent numbers over the track here with his offspring. I expect Measure to be much improved in the second start. Bullet workout for this. Give me the Mark Casse trainee with Irad Ortiz. Post number 9. Not a great post, obviously, to go a mile and a 16th, but coming out of a sprint race, this horse should be pretty fresh. There's not a lot of speed to the immediate inside. C Zest really doesn't have any speed. Some of the others, Biscaret, I'm not sure how fast that one is. Midnight Flight hasn't shown any speed. So I can't imagine Measure getting just hung out to dry on the clubhouse turn here if Irad gets her out of the gate a little better than she did last time out. Give me the 9, Measure, on top. Number 2, Melody Maker, one to consider in here. By McLean's Music out of 50 Shades of Hay. She was a good one. She won the Black Eyed Susan, and, she was good running long, 50 Shades of Hay. So her offspring here sprinted on the turf in the career debut, now stretches out around 2 turns. The pedigree says on the dam side that she should like this, and McLean's Music should give some brilliance on the top, not necessarily route. I think the endurance comes from the dam side of the pedigree of number 2, Melody Maker. Tyler Gaffleone is an ace rider at these mile and a 16th finishes at the 16th pole finish line, especially when he gets post 1 or 2, as we talked about last week. The numbers are outstanding for Gaffleone when he's in the 1-2 hole going a mile and 16th. He had a second place finish with that runner earlier in the meet in this kind of spot. Melody Maker, I think, is going to run a pretty good one. 9, 2, and 1, the way I'm going to line it up for you in this particular race. Measure, also the top pick in here for Tom Leach. Second choice for Kim Nelson. You see across the way, the 1 picked on top by Scott. So 9, 2, 1, 9, 2, 1. Tom and I are both doubling down on the same picks in this race. Number 6, Bisclavret, if I'm saying that right, is the top pick in here for Kim. That's a daughter of Not This Time. How about the sire Not This Time opening week? I went back. I knew Not This Time was having a really good opening week. I didn't realize how good until I went back and reviewed the opening week, the Keeneland Handicappers database, and I was filtering through some races. Sire Not This Time had 6 winners opening week. 6. I mean, typically if a sire has 3 or 4 winners at a Keeneland meet, that's a pretty good meet for a sire. 6 in a weekend. Unbelievable. And what about those 6? They were all on the turf. I think 4 of them were stakes winners. But they're all on the turf, and when you think Not This Time, you think of a dirt sire. So Not This Time is the sire of number 6, Bisclavret, and also the sire of the 7 Taylor Time, first-time start. Sire doing great things on the grass. I don't know what that translates to on the dirt, but the next time you see a Not This Time on the turf, better pay attention this meet. Maybe the ship has already sailed on that because, wow, 6 winners opening weekend, quite a run. Let's go to the 8th race on the program here on this 10 race card. 8th on the program is the final leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. This is a second level allowance race. Non-winners of 2 other than, if you see it written up that way, N2X. Mile and a 16th on the turf here. We've had 101 of these kind of races in the fall in turf allowance races at a mile and 16th. Favorites have won 31, so they underperform a little bit. The average winner is 6-1. So again, a higher average price than what you're supposed to see. 9-2 is about the average of all averages of a race payout. So 6-1, certainly these races are less likely for the favorites and more likely to pay a little bit more than average. So good betting race coming up here in race number 8. Interesting horse in here is Cima de Areco, the 1 horse from Brazil or Argentina, 4-for-4 lifetime, a Group 1 winner in Argentina. First start for trainer Graham Motion. I can't give you any kind of great insight. There's no great stat lines on Argentines coming in and running well here at Keeneland. What I can tell you is the one article I saw in Daily Racing Form quoting Graham Motion is he wishes he had another work or 2 before this horse got to the races. So Cima de Areco has not run since last November. Trainer said maybe a work or 2 short. Take that for what it's worth here, as the 1 is going to, potentially be favored in this spot. 5-2 in the morning line, favored on Nick Tamaro's morning line. And as you look across the way, Reagan's Flame, the 3 at 9-2 is really the only other horse, and the 5 Malibu at 7-2 that might vie for that favorite status. Malibu for Chad Brown and Irad Ortiz. If the public gets kind of cold on the 1, then maybe the 5 gets bet. But then that makes the 5 a bit of an underlay. So I'm going to try to beat both the 1 and the 5 in here because I think both are going to be underlaid prices. I've got 2 shots to do it in race number 8, and that's what makes it a key play on the card for me because I'm going against both of the morning line favorites in this particular spot, the 1 and the 5. I like the 7 and the 4 in this particular spot, the 7 Partier, French export for Riley Mott. Riley could have a big day. I think he could win too. This horse has gotten no help whatsoever in terms of pace. The paces have been slow in all 3 domestic starts, including the race here in the spring meet when they went 48 and change, 114 on a yielding turf. Finished 3rd that day under Johnny V. Johnny V is back aboard. He's riding lights out. He won 6 races opening weekend. I'm taking the 7 Partier in here at 12-1 in the morning line. I'm excited to take a shot at that. Also, the 4 Boys Make Me Wink, 20-1 in the morning line. This is a horse who I think second off the layoff has run well in the form cycle in the past. There's a good second off the layoff start back in July at Ellis Park with a big move forward. I'm not big on speed figures, but if you look at the Beyer speed figures for Boys Make the Boys Wink, the first start back off the layoff back in May of 2024 was a 62 Beyer, improved 18 points the next time to run an 80. If this horse makes that same kind of forward move, second start off the layoff, I think this horse could be sitting on a big race. Got a 71 Beyer last time, an 18-point Beyer jump makes it 89, and 89 would be the best of anybody in this race, faster than anything Malimu has ever run. So I don't know if Boys Make the Boys Wink will make that same forward leap, but that's what you're trying to handicap and project here. Second start off the layoff is a good form cycle move. Trainer Nacho Correa is about to retire here soon. We like to send him out maybe with a winner. Jose Ortiz riding. So 7 and 4, 12-1, 20-1 in the morning line. I'm against the 2 favorites in this particular spot because I think both will be underlaid prices. That's what makes this one of these interesting races that you want to kind of really take a look at in here. So 7 and 4, 2 of them to watch for me. The 2 Foreseen, the 5 Malimu, and the 3 Reagan's Flame also getting play from some of the other handicappers. So everybody's kind of against the 1 in here, a couple second shots in there. But you can see this is the spread race for a lot of us in this particular spot. And as we know, historically, again, favorites underperform a little bit right around that 30-31% range. And favorites should win about 38% in races in today's racing game. And so the average horse should pay 9-2 in most race situations. This one is 6-1. So why not stretch out, spread your wings, use quite a few of them in here in race number 8. Good opportunity here in the 8th race to wrap up the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 at a price. I've got a couple plays, even with some prices to look at here in the last 2 on the card. So let's keep rolling here as we hit to the 9th race on this Thursday program as we handicap ahead. Our second of 3 key plays. Arguably, the 8th race could be in that same discussion with the key plays. But here in the 9th race, I'm going in on number 9, Him. Him's a horse I've got picked on top at 10-1 in the morning line. Kim's got him second as well. Nobody else has him picked in this spot. Luis Saez takes the mount in here back after riding at Churchill last time for trainer Ron Moquet. I do the countdown to the Crown Scouting Report of 3-year-old races every year for the past 20 seasons where I look at every maiden, every allowance race at all the major circuits around the country. When Him broke his maiden back in February at debut, I put a big circle around him. He beat older horses that day, 3-ups, winning back in February, and drew off a 1x4 for Ron Moquet. I thought he could be a horse that we're going to be watching on that Oaklawn Road to the Arkansas Derby series. He didn't extend to that, but he did try to go longer in some allowance races, and then the Bathhouse Row Stakes where he finished 4th after setting the pace that day. That was a decent field. Instant Replay came back and won some nice races. I believe won the Super Derby at Louisiana Downs as well. But Him took on pretty good competition at Oaklawn, and this is a one-turn horse. And so after a little summer break, came back in September and ran a good second last time out in 108-3, a really fast time at Churchill last out for this one behind Taylor's Version, 5 lengths in front of the 3rd place horse. I think Him ran a winning race last time, and I think he can run a winning race here again. This is a good one-turn horse. I'm looking forward to seeing this one go. And Luis Saez in 7 furlong sprints, we said it. He popped another one in today. The guy's an absolute maestro, and his horse today was a nice price. Nobody rides 7 furlong races better than Luis Saez. The numbers bear it out. Statistically, he's fabulous in these spots. I like the 9 in here. Him is one of my best bets of the day for sure. The 1 BU, one to keep an eye on here, has not raced in over a year. Turns back a bit in trip, was running a little bit longer than this in some of the other starts in the Bluegrass Stakes. They did try the Woody Stevens at 7/8. But this is a good comeback spot for the son of Curlin, Todd Pletcher. Everything he put on the track opening week was running exceptionally well. He won with 4 of his 6 starters, something along those lines, or Pletcher ended up with 5 maybe at the end of opening weekend. He had a fabulous first set of days of racing here. So I expect the 1 to run pretty decent in here. But number 9, him, is why I've got this as a key play of the card for me. I'm all in here in race number 9. The 10, Pursuit Never Sleeps, is the top choice for everyone else in here, and I've got the 10 listed as my third choice in here. Pursuit Never Sleeps, coming off second place finish at Ellis Park for Dale Romans. Got a big buyer speed figure in that one. In fact, really, all 3 races around 1 turn have been good for this horse. Has never run a bad race around 1 turn. Now, interesting, he beat Faust by 3 lengths last time at Ellis Park in August. If you look at the running lines for him, he beat Faust by 5 last time out in September. So they both ran against the same horse, and him beat him much farther than Pursuit Never Sleeps did in a more recent race. So if you match those 2 up head-to-head, I mean, it's comparing a little bit of apples and oranges, but I think him certainly can stack up with Pursuit Never Sleeps, and we're going to get a much better price. 7-2 on the 10, 10-1 on the 9. That's why it's one of my key plays of the week. We go to the 10th and final race. Again, Toyota Super High 5 is this race. No carryover. My third and final key play will come up in this spot. These are non-winners of 2 lifetime, going 6 furlongs on the main track. This entire field of horses has 5 career starts at Keeneland. No finishes in the money. So there's not a lot of local love and embrace to make in this particular spot. But I do have a horse, Musical Prayer, who has run here at Keeneland 1 time. And I think this is the time this one gets over the top, because you got the best maiden win in the field here, winning a maiden special weight at Fairgrounds back in March. Number 6, Musical Prayer, 8-1 in the morning line for trainer Steve Asmussen. He's off to a good start at the meet. He puts blinkers back on this runner. I know the horse has only won for 14 lifetime, but they're all non-winners of 2, all looking for that second career win. And there aren't many others in here who can match up and win a maiden special weight at Fairgrounds back when he was on his better game. Asmussen had this horse back in 2024, lost him in the claim box at the beginning of 2025, then immediately claimed the horse right back. That's a good sign. His wife, Julie, is listed as the owner of this one. His son, Keith, is riding. This is a family affair. I like when horses get claimed back from a good barn like this. Should fit pretty well in this particular spot, and the blinkers go on. So I'm in for number 6, Musical Prayer, at 8-1 to wrap things up here. The 11, Ride the Broom, second choice in here. A horse coming out of a race at Churchill. Churchill preppers tend to do exceptionally well. As we mentioned, the non-winners of 2 lifetime races from the opening race, but when we were talking about that, 112 of these kind of races for non-winners of 2 claimers in the fall. 40 of the winners from Churchill. Nobody else had more than 12. So your Churchill horses in this race include Musical Prayer, include the 11, Ride the Broom, and include the 9, Baytown Butterfly. So I think this is a horse who could be effective in here. Baytown Butterfly, I know, just 1 for 17, 0 for 1 here over the track at Keeneland in a bad effort. But by Omaha Beach, maybe that bad effort in the 1 career start here at Keeneland was because of the troubled start more so than not liking the surface. Most of the Omaha Beaches have run really well here. So the 9, Baytown Butterfly, highly useful. The 3 Churchill horses for me, 6, 11, and 9, the way I'm going to try to get out of here in the nightcap. That wraps up the handicapping for this 10-race Thursday card. Thanks to everybody for joining us tonight. I want to remind you that I'll be back tomorrow after Scratches and Changes with a social media update on X on the same feeds at Horse Player Now and on at Keeneland Racing on X. I'll give you my updated picks after getting the final Scratches and Changes. And if you'd like those updated picks sent to your email inbox each day, make sure you sign up for my Substack. It's a free publishing service. My handicapping information updated each morning around the 11 o'clock hour after the Scratches and Changes come out. Then I'll fire that email off to you and give you the updated picks, any last-minute thoughts as we lead into the racing card. And, of course, tomorrow night we'll be back to do it all again as we preview the Friday program at Keeneland. Stakes action coming up. We've got long-distance turf horses in Stakes Company on Friday. So we'll get to handicapping that card and get it all set up for you. And we'll talk about that tomorrow night as we get rocking and rolling towards the Friday program. Good luck to you on Thursday. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. For my sake, I hope the Phillies can hold off the Dodgers and extend the National League Divisional Series. I hope you have a great night, everybody. Take care.